Vadell is in big trouble. He borrowed money from dangerous people to save his sister's life, and now they want it all back right away. He works 2 jobs but still doesn't have enough. The debt collectors have been calling constantly, their voices getting angrier each time. Vadell ignores the calls during his shifts at the coffee shop, trying to focus on making lattes and serving customers with a smile that doesn't reach his eyes anymore. Every morning, Vadell wakes up at 5 to work his first job at a loading dock, lifting heavy boxes until his arms ache. Then he rushes to the coffee shop for the afternoon shift, standing on his feet for another 6 hours. By the time he gets home to his tiny apartment, he's so exhausted he can barely keep his eyes open. But even when he collapses into bed, sleep doesn't come easily. He lies awake worrying about the money, about his sister, about what will happen if he can't pay. His sister Molly is doing better now, thank goodness. The treatment worked and she's getting stronger every day. But the hospital bills were enormous. More money than Vadell had ever seen in his life. The regular banks wouldn't give him a loan because he didn't have good enough credit or enough savings. He was desperate and scared, watching his sister get sicker while he had no way to help her. That's when he met the loan sharks. They seemed nice at first, sympathetic even. They gave him the money right away, no questions asked, no endless paperwork. He was so relieved he didn't read the contract carefully enough. He didn't understand how quickly the interest would pile up, how impossible the repayment terms really were. Now he owes 3 times what he borrowed and they want it all back immediately. One night, everything comes to a head. Vadell is walking home from his evening shift at the coffee shop, his feet dragging with exhaustion. The streetlights flicker overhead, and the November air is cold enough to make his breath fog. He's thinking about the leftover rice in his fridge, wondering if it's still good to eat when he notices them. 3 large men step out from the shadows near his apartment building. Vadell's heart starts pounding. He recognizes the one in front, the enforcer who came to his apartment last week, banging on the door and shouting threats through the wood. "Going somewhere, Vadell?" the man asks, his voice oily and menacing. Vadell stops walking, his whole body tense. I'm working on getting your money. I just need a little more time." "Time's up," another man says, cracking his knuckles. "The boss is tired of waiting. You've had months." They move closer, forming a tight circle around him. Vadell's back hits the brick wall of his building. His mind races, searching for an escape route, but there's nowhere to go. The street is empty, no one to help him, no one to even witness what's happening. "1 week, the first man says, jabbing a thick finger into Vadell's chest. "You have 1 week to get us every single dollar you owe plus the new interest. That's $45,000, Vadell. If you don't have it by next Friday at midnight, things are going to get very unpleasant for you. And maybe for that sister of yours too." Vadell's blood runs cold. "Leave Molly out of this. She has nothing to do. Then get our money." The man's smile is cruel. 1 week. Don't make us come looking for you." They walk away, their laughter echoing in the dark street. Vadell slides down the wall until he's sitting on the cold sidewalk, his hands shaking. $45,000 in 1 week. It's impossible. He makes barely enough to pay rent and buy food. Even if he sold everything he owned, it wouldn't be close to enough. Tears sting his eyes, but he blinks them back. He can't fall apart. Not now. There has to be a way. There has to be something he can do. But as he sits there in the dark, alone and terrified, Vadell can't imagine what that something might be. The next morning, Vadell drags himself to work at the coffee shop. He barely slept, his mind spinning all night with impossible calculations and growing panic. His manager notices the dark circles under his eyes but doesn't comment. The shop is busy with the morning rush. Business people grabbing their caffeine before heading to offices, students ordering complicated drinks with extra shots. Vadell moves through his tasks mechanically, his hands going through the familiar motions of grinding beans, steaming milk, and calling out orders. But his mind is far away, still trapped in that dark moment against the wall, still hearing the loan shark's threat about Molly. Around 10 in the morning, the rush starts to slow down. That's when he walks in. The man is clearly wealthy. Vadell can tell from the perfectly tailored charcoal suit that probably costs more than Vadell makes in 6 months. He has sharp features, dark eyes that seem to miss nothing, and an air of cold authority that makes the other customers instinctively give him space. 2 men in black suits flank him, bodyguards obviously. This isn't the kind of customer they usually get in this neighborhood coffee shop. Siwoo, though Vadell doesn't know his name yet, orders a simple black coffee, his voice crisp and businesslike. His assistant, a nervous-looking young man with glasses, hovers nearby with a tablet, scrolling through what looks like a very long schedule. Vadell prepares the coffee, his hands steady despite his exhaustion. He's careful, he's always careful. But today, as he's turning to hand the cup across the counter, someone bumps into him from behind. Another customer, not paying attention, walks right into Vadell's back. Everything happens in slow motion. Vadell stumbles forward. The hot coffee flies from his hand in a perfect arc. And it lands directly on the expensive suit of the intimidating businessman. The entire shop goes silent. Siwoo looks down at his ruined suit, coffee dripping down the front of his jacket and shirt. His expression is thunderous, the kind of anger that makes people back away. Vadell feels his stomach drop to his feet. "I'm so sorry." Vadell rushes around the counter with napkins, his heart pounding. "I'm so sorry, sir. Someone bumped me and please let me help." "Don't touch me," Siwoo snaps, his voice ice cold. The assistant jumps forward, trying to dab at the suit while apologizing profusely. The bodyguards look like they want to do something violent. Vadell's manager appears, offering free drinks, offering to pay for dry cleaning, his voice high and panicked. But then something strange happens. The assistant leans in and whispers something in Siwoo's ear. Vadell can't hear what's said, but he sees Siwoo's eyes shift from anger to something else. Calculation, maybe, or recognition. Siwoo studies Vadell's face intently, his gaze moving from Vadell's name tag to his worried expression to his worn-out uniform. "What's your full name?" Siwoo asks suddenly. "V. Vadell Thompson, sir," Vadell stammers, confused by the question. Siwoo's eyes narrow slightly, and the hint of something that might be satisfaction crosses his face. It's gone so quickly Vadell thinks he imagined it. "I see," Siwoo says quietly. Then, to everyone's surprise, his expression smooths out. "It's fine. Accidents happen." The manager nearly faints with relief. Vadell is too shocked to speak. The man's suit is ruined and he's just letting it go? "Sir, please at least let us pay for the cleaning," the manager begins. "Not necessary." Siwoo takes one last long look at Vadell, and there's something unreadable in that gaze. Something that makes Vadell's skin prickle with an undefined wariness. "I'll be seeing you again, Vadell Thompson." And with that cryptic statement, Siwoo turns and walks out, his bodyguards and assistant hurrying after him. Vadell stands there, napkins still clutched in his shaking hands, wondering what just happened. The other customers start talking again, the normal noise of the shop returning. But Vadell can't shake the feeling that something important just occurred, something that's going to change his life. He just doesn't know how yet. Vadell can't stop thinking about the strange encounter all day. Even as he serves other customers, even as he cleans tables and restocks supplies, his mind keeps replaying that moment. The way the businessman looked at him like he was solving a puzzle. The weird comment, "I'll be seeing you again." What did that mean? By the time his shift ends at 6 in the evening, Vadell has almost convinced himself it was nothing. Just a rich guy being weird. He has bigger problems to worry about, like how he's going to come up with $45,000 in 6 days. He's thought about asking his boss for an advance, but he already owes her money from last month. He's thought about selling his car, but it's barely worth $1,000 and it doesn't even run half the time. Vadell walks out of the coffee shop into the chilly November evening, pulling his thin jacket tighter. He's thinking about stopping by the convenience store to buy some instant noodles when a black SUV pulls up beside him. His first thought is that the loan sharks are back. His whole body tenses, ready to run. But the door opens and a man in a professional suit steps out, not the thugs from last night, but someone who looks like private security. "Vadell Thompson?" the man asks politely. "Who's asking?" Vadell takes a step back. "Mr. Park would like to speak with you. Please come with us." "Mr. Park? I don't know any," Vadell starts to say, but then he sees another bodyguard step out from the other side of the vehicle. These are the same men who were with the coffee spill businessman this morning. "Wait, what is this about?" "It's a business discussion. Mr. Park assures you that you're not in any trouble. But he insists on speaking with you tonight." "And if I say no?" Vadell asks, though his voice shakes. The bodyguard's expression doesn't change. Mr. Park is not a man accustomed to hearing no. "Please, Mr. Thompson. This will be worth your time." Something in the way he says "worth your time" makes Vadell hesitate. These people are clearly wealthy. What if they're planning to sue him for ruining that expensive suit? But what if this is something else? What if, somehow, this could help with his money problems? Vadell knows it's probably stupid, but he's desperate. And desperate people make risky choices. "Fine," he says. "But I need to be home by 10. I have work tomorrow morning." The bodyguard almost smiles. "Of course, sir. The ride through the city is surreal. The SUV is nicer than any car Vadell has ever been in, with leather seats and complete silence except for the soft hum of the engine. They drive through parts of the city Vadell has only seen from a distance. The business district with its gleaming skyscrapers, the expensive neighborhoods where old money lives behind tall gates. Finally they pull up to a massive office building, all glass and steel, reaching up into the night sky. Gold letters above the entrance read Park Technologies. Vadell's eyes widen. Park Technologies is one of the biggest companies in the country. They make smartphones, computers, AI software, everything tech-related. The bodyguards escort him through a pristine lobby with marble floors and modern art on the walls, into a private elevator that requires a key card to operate. They rise up and up and up, Vadell's ears popping from the altitude, until they reach the top floor. The elevator doors open directly into a massive office. Floor-to-ceiling windows show the entire city spread out below, millions of lights twinkling in the darkness. And there, standing by those windows with his back to the elevator, is the man from the coffee shop. Siwoo turns around slowly, and in the dim lighting of his office, he looks even more intimidating than he did this morning. His suit has been changed, no coffee stains now, and his expression is unreadable. "Welcome Vadell Thompson," Siwoo says, his voice echoing slightly in the large space. "We have much to discuss." Vadell swallows hard, suddenly very aware that he's completely out of his depth. "Please sit," Siwoo gestures to a leather chair positioned in front of his massive desk. Vadell sits, feeling like he's about to be interrogated. The bodyguards have disappeared, leaving him alone with this cold, powerful stranger. The office is intimidating, all dark wood and expensive technology with awards and certificates lining one wall. Through the windows, Vadell can see the whole city laid out like a toy model. Siwoo doesn't sit behind his desk. Instead, he leans against it, arms crossed, studying Vadell with those penetrating dark eyes. The silence stretches out uncomfortably. "Do you know who I am?" Siwoo finally asks. "Park Technologies," Vadell says, his voice smaller than he'd like. "You're the CEO?" "Correct. Siwoo Park. My company is worth approximately $15 billion. I employ over 50,000 people worldwide." He says this without boasting, just stating facts. "And you, Vadell Thompson, are currently $45,000 in debt to some very dangerous people." Vadell's blood turns to ice. "How do you?" "I make it my business to know things." Siwoo picks up a folder from his desk and drops it in Vadell's lap. "Go ahead. Look." With trembling hands, Vadell opens the folder. Inside are papers, copies of his loan documents, his work schedules, his bank statements, even medical bills for Molly's treatment. Everything. His whole messy, desperate life laid out in black and white. "This is, you investigated me?" Vadell feels violated, angry, and scared all at once. "You had no right." "I had every right," Siwoo cuts him off. "I needed to know if you were suitable." "Suitable for what?" Vadell demands, standing up. "What is this about? If you're going to sue me for the coffee, just say so." For the first time, Siwoo's expression shifts, a hint of something that might be amusement. "Sue you? No. I'm going to offer you a solution to all your problems." Vadell blinks, confused. "What?" Siwoo walks to the windows looking out at the city. "I have a problem, Vadell. My family, traditional, old-fashioned, and unfortunately still in control of significant shares of my company, has given me an ultimatum. I must be married by Christmas, or they will vote to remove me as CEO and install my cousin in my place." I don't understand what this has to do with me," Vadell says slowly. "I need a husband," Siwoo states bluntly, turning to face him. "Not a real one. A temporary arrangement. Someone who will marry me, appear at family functions, play the part until Christmas. After the holiday we'll quietly divorce and go our separate ways. You'll be compensated handsomely." Vadell's mouth falls open. "You want me to marry you? Are you insane?" "I'm quite sane. And quite serious." Siwoo's voice is businesslike, like he's proposing a merger instead of a marriage. "Here's what I'm offering. I will pay off your entire debt, all $45,000, immediately. You'll move into my home for the duration of our arrangement. You'll receive a monthly allowance of $10,000 for your cooperation. And when we divorce after Christmas, you'll receive a settlement of $100,000. Vadell's head spins. That much money would change his entire life. Molly's medical bills would be paid. He could quit his second job, maybe even save enough to go back to school. "But why me?" he whispers. "You could have anyone. Someone from your world, someone who understands all this." Siwoo's expression remains cold. Because you're desperate. Because you have no connections, no power, no options. Because when this is over, you'll disappear back to your normal life without complications. He pauses. And because you need this as much as I do. The words sting even though they're true. Vadell thinks about the loan sharks, about their threats against Molly, about working himself to exhaustion for barely enough to survive. This is crazy, Vadell says, but his voice lacks conviction. This is business, Siwoo corrects. Do we have a deal? I need time to think about this, Vadell says, his mind reeling. You have 5 minutes, Siwoo replies, checking his expensive watch. Your debt collectors gave you 1 week. I'm offering you a way out tonight. But the offer expires when you leave this office. That's not enough time to. Life rarely gives us enough time for anything, Vadell. Siwoo's voice is sharp. You make the best decision you can with the information you have. So decide. Vadell's hands clench into fists. He wants to tell this arrogant man exactly where he can shove his offer. He wants to walk out with his dignity intact. But dignity doesn't pay off loan sharks. Dignity doesn't keep Molly safe. If I agree, Vadell says carefully, what exactly would I have to do? Attend family dinners and events. Be civil and affectionate in public. Live in my home. Maintain the appearance of a relationship. Siwoo lists the requirements like items on a shopping list. You'll sign a non-disclosure agreement. You will not speak about our arrangement to anyone, not friends, not family, not the media. Breaking the NDA will result in immediate termination of the contract and legal consequences. What about other things? Vadell asks, his face heating up. Like physical stuff? Public displays of affection will be necessary, holding hands, perhaps a kiss or two at events. Nothing more. My bedroom is my own, and yours will be yours. Siwoo's tone is clinical, emotionless. I'm not interested in that kind of relationship. Do you even like men? Vadell blurts out. My personal preferences are irrelevant. This is a business transaction. Siwoo pulls out another folder, this one much thicker. This is the contract. Read it carefully. Vadell takes the contract with shaking hands. The legal language is dense and confusing, full of words like hereinafter and notwithstanding. But certain things are clear. The money, the timeline, now until December 26th, the confidentiality clause, the expectations of behavior. There's also a section about rules. Vadell will have his own room but cannot enter certain areas of Siwoo's home without permission. He cannot bring guests to the residence. He must maintain a respectful public image. He must attend all required events and functions. This sounds like a prison sentence, Vadell mutters. It's a job, Siwoo corrects. A very well-paying one. And it's temporary. Vadell thinks about Molly, getting stronger every day, finally healthy after being so sick. He thinks about his tiny apartment with the broken heater, about eating instant noodles for the 3rd night in a row because that's all he can afford. He thinks about the fear in his chest every time his phone rings, wondering if it's the loan sharks. And he thinks about having $145,000 after Christmas. Enough to start over. Enough to build a real life. If I do this, Vadell says slowly, I want something added to the contract. You pay for Molly's future medical checkups for the next 5 years. Just preventive care, making sure she stays healthy. And I want it in writing that you won't come after me for any reason after we divorce. Siwoo's eyebrow raises slightly, the most emotion he's shown all evening. You negotiate. Interesting. Fine. I'll have my lawyer add those clauses. He makes a phone call, speaking rapid Korean. 20 minutes later, a tired-looking woman in a suit arrives with revised contracts. Vadell reads through the changes carefully, making sure everything he asked for is there. It is. Last chance to walk away, Siwoo says, offering Vadell an expensive pen. Vadell takes the pen. His hand hovers over the signature line. This is insane. This is the craziest thing he's ever considered. He's about to marry a complete stranger, move into his house, pretend to be in love with someone who clearly has no heart. But he's out of options. Vadell signs his name. Then Siwoo signs. The lawyer witnesses both signatures, then leaves quietly. Welcome to the family, Siwoo says, and there's no warmth in the words. Pack your things. You move in tomorrow. Vadell looks down at the contract in his hands and wonders what he's just done. The next evening, Vadell stands outside the biggest house he's ever seen. No, not a house, a mansion, with 2 suitcases containing everything he owns. The building is ultra-modern, all glass and white stone, with perfectly manicured gardens and a fountain in the circular driveway. It looks like something from a magazine, not a place where real people live. A staff member, Vadell learns her name is Mrs. Chin, the head housekeeper, welcomes him with a polite but distant smile. She's a woman in her 50s with kind eyes and a no-nonsense demeanor. Mr. Park is still at the office, she explains, leading Vadell through a foyer with marble floors and a chandelier that probably costs more than his entire life. He asked me to show you to your room and explain the household rules. Your room. The words feel strange. Vadell has shared a cramped apartment with Molly for years, and before that, an even smaller place with 3 roommates. The idea of having his own room in a place like this seems unreal. Mrs. Chun leads him up a curved staircase to the 2nd floor, down a hallway lined with expensive-looking art. She opens a door and Vadell's breath catches. The room is enormous, bigger than his entire previous apartment. There's a king-size bed with crisp white linens, a sitting area with a leather couch and television, floor-to-ceiling windows with views of the garden, and 2 doors leading to what turns out to be a walk-in closet and a private bathroom with a shower and a bathtub that looks like it could fit 3 people. This is, for me? Vadell whispers. Yes, sir. Mr. Park's master suite is at the end of the hall. You are not to enter without permission. Mrs. Chen's voice is gentle but firm. The 1st floor includes the living room, dining room, and kitchen. The basement has a gym, pool, and entertainment room. You're welcome to use those. Mr. Park's home office and the West Wing are off-limits. She continues explaining, meals are served at 7 a.m., 1 p.m., and 7 p.m., but Vadell can request food anytime. There's a chef, a gardener, security personnel, and cleaning staff. Vadell should treat everyone with respect. Any damage to property should be reported immediately. Do you have any questions? Mrs. Chin asked. About 1,000,000, Vadell thinks. But he just shakes his head. Very good. Dinner will be ready in an hour. Mr. Park usually eats in his office, but tonight he's requested you join him in the dining room. She pauses at the door. Welcome to the household, Mr. Thompson. After she leaves, Vadell sits on the edge of the massive bed, feeling completely out of place. Everything here is so clean, so perfect, so expensive. He's afraid to touch anything, worried he'll break something worth more than his car. He unpacks his 2 suitcases into the giant closet. His few shirts and pairs of pants look ridiculous hanging there, taking up maybe 5% of the space. His worn sneakers look shabby next to the plush carpet. Vadell takes a shower in the incredible bathroom, and even that feels wrong. The water pressure is amazing, there are about 10 different jets, and the towels are the softest thing he's ever felt. He's used to his apartment's lukewarm dribble and scratchy dollar store towels. By the time he's dressed and heads downstairs for dinner, his stomach is in knots. He finds the dining room, another cavernous space with a table that could seat 20 people. Siwoo is already there, seated at one end looking at his phone. He's changed from his suit into more casual clothes, still expensive, but a soft sweater and slacks instead of formal business wear. He doesn't look up when Vadell enters. Sit, Siwoo says, gesturing to the chair across from him, which is still about 10 feet away. Vadell sits. A staff member immediately appears with plates of food, some kind of fancy chicken dish with vegetables Vadell doesn't recognize. They eat in complete silence. Siwoo scrolls through his phone. Vadell pushes food around his plate, too nervous to eat. Finally, Siwoo speaks. Rules. Don't go in my office. Don't speak to the press. Don't embarrass me. Don't expect us to be friends. And just like that, Vadell understands exactly what kind of prison his golden cage will be. The first week in Siwoo's mansion feels like living in a beautiful museum where Vadell is not allowed to touch anything. He wakes up in the too soft bed, eats breakfast alone in the too big dining room, and spends his days wondering what he's supposed to do with himself. Siwoo leaves for work before dawn and returns after dark. When they do see each other, brief passings in hallways, silent dinners, Siwoo barely acknowledges Vadell's existence. He doesn't ask how Vadell is settling in. He doesn't make small talk. He treats Vadell like a piece of furniture that happens to breathe. Vadell tries to stay busy. He explores the mansion, though always careful to avoid the forbidden areas. He uses the gym, though the expensive equipment intimidates him. He swims in the indoor pool, the echo of his movements bouncing off marble walls, amplifying his loneliness. Mrs. Chin is kind in her professional way. She makes sure Vadell has everything he needs and gently corrects him when he uses the wrong fork at dinner or doesn't know which towels are for guests versus residents. The other staff members are polite but distant, clearly unsure how to treat this strange new person who isn't quite family but isn't quite staff either. Molly calls constantly, worried about him. Vadell told her he got a live-in job as a personal assistant to a wealthy businessman. Not technically a lie but not the truth either. The NDA means he can't tell anyone about the real arrangement, not even his sister. Are you sure you're okay? Molly asks during one call. You sound different. I'm fine, Vadell lies, looking around his beautiful, lonely room. The job pays really well. Your medical bills are all taken care of. Vadell, I never wanted you to. You're healthy. That's what matters. He changes the subject before she can question him more. In his spare time, and he has so much spare time, Vadell draws. It's the one thing that makes him feel like himself again. He sketches the garden, the city view from his window, abstract patterns that match his confused feelings. One evening, about 2 weeks in, Vadell is drawing in the living room when he hears piano music. It's coming from somewhere in the house, soft and melancholic. He follows the sound to a room he hasn't explored yet, a music room with a grand piano in the center. Siwoo sits at the piano, his fingers moving across the keys with unexpected grace. His eyes are closed, his usual cold expression replaced with something softer, almost vulnerable. The music is beautiful and sad, filling the space with emotion that Siwoo never shows in his face or words. Vadell watches from the doorway, not wanting to interrupt. This is the first time he's seen Siwoo as something other than a calculating businessman. For these few minutes, Siwoo is just a person playing music in the dark, letting something real show through the cracks. Then Siwoo's eyes open. He sees Vadell watching. Immediately, the vulnerability vanishes, replaced by his usual coldness. What are you doing here? Siwoo's hands still on the keys. I heard the music. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to intrude. This room is not off limits, but I prefer privacy when I'm here. Siwoo stands, closing the piano lid with a decisive click. Was there something you needed? No, that was beautiful. I didn't know you played. There are many things you don't know about me. Siwoo walks past Vadell toward the door. That's intentional. This arrangement doesn't require us to know each other. He leaves Vadell standing in the music room, the silence now feeling heavier than before. But something has shifted. Vadell caught a glimpse behind Siwoo's walls just for a moment, and it makes him wonder what else Siwoo is hiding beneath all that ice. That night, Vadell can't stop thinking about the music, about the brief flash of real emotion on Siwoo's face. Maybe his husband, the word still feels strange to think, is more than just the cold, calculating man he pretends to be. Maybe there's a real person in there somewhere, buried under all the armor. Things change slowly after the piano incident, like ice melting one drop at a time. It starts with breakfast. Siwoo comes down one morning and, instead of taking his coffee to his office like usual, sits at the dining table where Vadell is eating. He doesn't say anything, just reads the news on his tablet while eating toast. But he's there in the same room, breathing the same air. The next day he does it again. And the day after that. You don't have to eat with me if you don't want to, Vadell says finally, unsure if the company is wanted or just tolerated. Siwoo looks up from his tablet, considering. The staff gossips less if we appear to be a normal couple. It's practical. Of course. Always practical, always business. But Vadell notices that Siwoo asks Mrs. Chen to prepare eggs the way Vadell mentioned liking them once. Small thing. Probably meaningless. But still. One evening, Vadell is sketching in the living room when Siwoo walks in. Instead of immediately leaving like he usually does when he finds Vadell in a common space, Siwoo pauses. What are you drawing? He asks. Continue. 1:36 a.m. Vadell almost drops his pencil in surprise. It's maybe the first personal question Siwoo has asked in 3 weeks. Just the garden. The way the light hits the fountain at sunset. Vadell shows him the sketch hesitantly. Siwoo studies it for a long moment. You're talented. It's just a hobby. Talent is talent, regardless of whether it's a career. Siwoo's voice is matter-of-fact, but there's no coldness in it. You capture the light well. It's a small compliment, probably automatic, but Vadell feels warmth spread through his chest anyway. When was the last time someone complimented his art? When was the last time anyone really looked at his drawings? Thank you, Vadell says quietly. Siwoo nods and continues to his office, but something has shifted again. Another brick removed from the wall between them. The small moments continue. Siwoo starts asking simple questions at breakfast. Did you sleep well? How is your sister? Have you been using the gym? Nothing deep, nothing personal, but more than silence. Vadell learns small things too. Siwoo takes his coffee black with 1 sugar. He has a scar on his left hand from a childhood accident. He speaks 3 languages fluently. He works 16-hour days and rarely takes breaks. He has nightmares sometimes. Vadell hears him moving around late at night, hears the piano playing at 2 in the morning. One rainy afternoon they're both in the living room. Siwoo is working on his laptop on the couch while Vadell reads a book in the armchair. It's comfortable, this quiet companionship. No pressure to talk, no awkward silences, just two people existing in the same space. We have an event this Saturday, Siwoo says suddenly. A charity gala. We need to attend together. Vadell's stomach tightens. This will be their first public appearance as a couple. Okay. What do I need to do? Just stay by my side. Smile. Be polite. Mrs. Chen will arrange appropriate clothing for you. Siwoo glances at him. It's important that we appear connected. My family will be watching. Connected, Vadell repeats. Right. Siwoo closes his laptop, giving Vadell his full attention for once. I know this isn't easy. You're doing well adapting to all this. It's the kindest thing Siwoo has said to him. Vadell doesn't know how to respond. I'm trying, he finally says. I can see that. Siwoo stands, preparing to return to his office, but he pauses. The piano room. You can go there whenever you want. I shouldn't have made you feel unwelcome. Before Vadell can respond, Siwoo is gone, leaving Vadell staring after him in surprise. That night, Vadell lies in his too-big bed, thinking about cold businessmen who play sad music and give awkward compliments and are maybe, possibly, beneath all the ice trying to be a little bit kind. It's dangerous, he thinks, to start hoping that this arrangement could become something more. But hope is a stubborn thing and it's already taking root in his chest. Saturday arrives too quickly. Vadell stares at himself in the mirror, barely recognizing the person looking back. The tuxedo Mrs. Chen provided fits perfectly, tailored to his exact measurements, probably costing more than several months of his old rent. His hair is freshly cut, his shoes are polished to a shine, and he looks like he belongs in Siwoo's world. He looks like someone he's not. You look very handsome, Mr. Thompson, Mrs. Chen says warmly, adjusting his bow tie. Mr. Park will be pleased. Vadell doubts Siwoo will be pleased by anything, but he appreciates her kindness. His hands won't stop shaking. He's never been to a gala before. He's never been around truly wealthy people in their natural habitat. What if he uses the wrong fork again? What if he says something stupid? What if everyone can tell he doesn't belong? Siwoo knocks on the door, then enters. He's wearing a midnight blue tuxedo that makes him look even more intimidating than usual, sharp, powerful, untouchable. His eyes sweep over Vadell and something flickers in his expression. Good, is all he says. But he looks at Vadell for an extra moment, and Vadell wonders if maybe he sees approval there. The limousine ride to the gala is quiet. Siwoo reviews something on his phone while Vadell watches the city pass by, his anxiety growing with every mile. Remember, Siwoo says as they approach the venue, we're happily married. We've been together for 6 months. We met through mutual friends. Keep the story simple. Happily married, Vadell repeats, the words tasting like a lie. The gala is held in a massive hotel ballroom that looks like something from a fairy tale. Crystal chandeliers, marble columns, women in designer gowns and men in expensive tuxedos everywhere. Cameras flash as they enter. Vadell tries not to flinch from the attention. Then Siwoo does something unexpected. He takes Vadell's hand. It's the first time they've held hands outside of the contract signing. Siwoo's hand is warm, his grip firm but not uncomfortable. He leans in close enough that Vadell can smell his subtle cologne, and whispers, breathe. You're doing fine. They move through the crowd together. Siwoo introduces Vadell to business partners, investors, people whose names Vadell immediately forgets. Everyone is polite but curious, their eyes assessing, judging. Vadell can feel them wondering, who is this nobody that Siwoo Park married? And this is my cousin Jay, Siwoo says, his voice turning cold. The man who approaches is maybe 30, handsome in a slick way, with a smile that doesn't reach his eyes. This must be the cousin who wants to take Siwoo's company. Siwoo. And this must be your husband. Jay's pause before the word is deliberate, mocking. How unexpected. I didn't know you were seeing anyone. I prefer to keep my personal life private, Siwoo replies, his grip on Vadell's hand tightening slightly. Clearly. Where did you two meet again? Jay's smile is all teeth like a shark. Vadell's mind goes blank. What was the story? What did Siwoo say in the car? But before he can panic, Siwoo pulls him closer, his arms sliding around Vadell's waist in a gesture that looks natural and affectionate. That's private too. If you'll excuse us, Jay, I promised Vadell a dance. Siwoo guides Vadell to the dance floor, where other couples are swaying to classical music. Vadell's heart pounds. I don't know how to dance like this. Follow my lead, Siwoo murmurs, positioning Vadell's hands, one on his shoulder, one held in his. Just don't step on my feet. They move together, Siwoo guiding them smoothly. Vadell is stiff at first, hyper-aware of everyone watching, but gradually he relaxes into the rhythm. This close, he can see the tiny details of Siwoo's face, a small freckle near his ear, the way his eyelashes are longer than expected, the serious set of his mouth. You're thinking too hard, Siwoo says quietly. Just breathe. Everyone's staring at us. Let them stare. We have nothing to hide. But Siwoo's eyes say something different. We have everything to hide. As they spin across the floor, Vadell wonders if maybe pretending isn't as hard as he thought, or maybe if it's starting to feel less like pretending at all. After the gala, something changes between them. The wall Siwoo built so carefully starts to crumble brick by brick. They start having dinner together every night, not because the staff is watching but because they want to. Siwoo asks about Vadell's day and actually listens to the answers. Vadell learns about the pressures Siwoo faces at work, the difficult decisions, the weight of running a massive company. Sometimes I wonder if it's worth it, Siwoo admits one night over wine. The stress, the constant fighting, everyone wanting something from me. Is that why you play piano? Vadell asks. To escape. Siwoo looks surprised that Vadell understands. Yes. Music is the one place where I can just be. Not Siwoo Park, not the family heir, just me. You should do it more often. Being yourself, I mean. Siwoo's expression softens in a way Vadell rarely sees. Maybe I will. They start spending evenings together in the music room. Siwoo plays while Vadell draws, the two of them existing in comfortable silence, creating beauty side by side. Sometimes Vadell looks up from his sketchpad to find Siwoo watching him with an expression he can't quite read. One evening, Vadell discovers Siwoo in the music room looking frustrated, playing the same passage over and over. What's wrong? Vadell asks. I can't get this part right. It's been years since I've practiced regularly. Siwoo's perfectionism is showing. He hates not being excellent at everything. Vadell sits beside him on the piano bench. Show me? Siwoo demonstrates, and Vadell watches his hands move across the keys. Maybe you're thinking too hard. Like you told me at the gala. Sometimes you just have to feel it. Feel it? Siwoo repeats, skeptical. Yeah. Close your eyes. Don't think about the notes. Think about what the music means to you. Siwoo closes his eyes, and this time when he plays it's different. Slower, more emotional, imperfect but beautiful. When he finishes, he opens his eyes and finds Vadell smiling at him. See? That was perfect. It was technically flawed. It was real. That's better than perfect. They're sitting very close on the piano bench, so close Vadell can feel the warmth radiating from Siwoo's body. Neither of them moves away. Siwoo's eyes drop to Vadell's lips just for a second and Vadell's breath catches. But then Siwoo stands abruptly. It's late. We should both get some rest. The moment shatters, but it happened. They both felt it. Over the next few weeks, there are more moments like that. Siwoo's hand lingering on Vadell's back when he guides him through a doorway. Their knees touching under the dinner table, neither of them moving away. Siwoo laughing, actually laughing, at something Vadell says, the sound startled and genuine. They attend more events together and each time the pretense feels less forced. Holding hands becomes natural. Standing close together feels right. When Siwoo introduces Vadell as my husband, there's warmth in his voice that wasn't there before. Vadell catches himself waiting for Siwoo to come home each day, his heart lifting when he hears the front door open. He learns Siwoo's schedule, knows when he'll be stressed and needs space, when he'll want company. He starts leaving small sketches on Siwoo's desk. Nothing elaborate, just little drawings that might make him smile during a difficult day. And Siwoo notices. He keeps every single one. One rainy evening in early December, they're watching the storm through the large living room windows. Thunder rumbles in the distance, rain streaking down the glass. It's cozy inside, the fireplace crackling, both of them with books they're only half reading. Vadell, Siwoo says suddenly. Yeah. I'm glad you're here. I know this started as just business, but... Siwoo trails off, seeming unsure how to continue. You've made this house feel less empty. Vadell's heart speeds up. You've made my life feel less impossible. They look at each other across the room, and the air feels charged with something neither of them wants to name yet. Something dangerous and wonderful and terrifying. Siwoo stands, crossing to where Vadell sits. He extends his hand. Dance with me? There's no music. We don't need music. Vadell takes his hand and they sway together in the quiet room, the storm outside and warmth inside, and Vadell thinks that maybe, just maybe, he's falling for his fake husband. The kiss happens on a Tuesday of all days. Nothing special, no grand romantic setup. Just a rainy Tuesday evening in mid-December. They've been Christmas shopping together, another appearance for the public, but it had been fun. Vadell made Siwoo laugh in the department store by trying on a ridiculous Santa hat. Siwoo surprised Vadell by buying art supplies he'd been eyeing but thought were too expensive. They had hot chocolate at a cafe, their hands bumping as they reached for napkins, and neither pulled away quickly. Now they're home, shaking rain from their coats in the foyer. Vadell's hair is damp, droplets running down his face, and he's laughing about how they got completely soaked running from the car to the door even though it's only 20 feet. "You should have used the umbrella I offered," Siwoo says, but he's almost smiling, that rare, genuine expression that makes Vadell's stomach flip. "Where's the fun in that?" Vadell grins, using his sleeve to wipe water from his face. "You're dripping all over the marble. Mrs. Chen will be upset. Then I guess we should get changed." But neither of them moves toward the stairs. They're standing close in the foyer, rain-soaked and happy, the December cold still clinging to their clothes. The house is quiet, the staff have retired for the evening, leaving them alone in the big space. Siwoo reaches out, almost unconsciously, and gently wipes a raindrop from Vadell's cheek. His hand lingers there, warm against Vadell's skin. Their eyes meet, and suddenly the air feels electric, charged with all the unspoken feelings that have been building between them for weeks. "Vadell," Siwoo whispers, and his voice is different, uncertain, vulnerable, nothing like his usual controlled tone. "Yeah." Vadell's own voice comes out barely audible. "I think." Siwoo hesitates, his hand still on Vadell's face. "I think I've been lying to myself." "About what?" "About what this is. About what I want this to be." Siwoo's thumb brushes across Vadell's cheekbone. "This was supposed to be business. Just a transaction. But you." He doesn't finish the sentence. Instead, he leans in slowly, giving Vadell every chance to pull away, to stop this, to remind them both that this isn't real, this isn't part of the contract. But Vadell doesn't pull away. He leans in too, closing the distance between them. The kiss is gentle at first, tentative, like they're both afraid they might break whatever fragile thing exists between them. Siwoo's lips are soft and warm, and he tastes like the peppermint hot chocolate they shared earlier. Vadell's hands find their way to Siwoo's waist, pulling him closer, and Siwoo's other hand tangles in Vadell's damp hair. The gentleness doesn't last long. The kiss deepens, weeks of tension and unspoken feelings pouring out all at once. Vadell's back hits the wall, though he's not sure if he stepped backward or Siwoo pressed forward. It doesn't matter. Nothing matters except this. Siwoo's hands on him, his own hands gripping Siwoo's shoulders, the way their hearts are both racing. When they finally break apart, both breathing hard, Siwoo rests his forehead against Vadell's. His eyes are closed, his expression almost pained. "We shouldn't have done that," Siwoo whispers, but he doesn't move away. "Probably not," Vadell agrees, but his hands are still on Siwoo's waist, keeping him close. "This complicates everything." "I know. After Christmas you're supposed to leave. That was the deal." Siwoo's voice cracks slightly. "That was always the deal." "I know," Vadell says again, his heart breaking a little because he knows it's true. "This has an expiration date. They signed papers. This was never meant to be real." But Siwoo is still here, still pressed against him, still breathing him in like he's oxygen. And when Siwoo opens his eyes, Vadell sees everything there. Want and fear and hope and confusion all mixed together. "One more," Siwoo breathes. "Just one more and then we'll go back to how things were." It's a lie and they both know it. Because you can't unknow what someone's kiss tastes like. You can't unfeel the way your heart speeds up when they're near. But Vadell kisses him anyway and it feels like falling and flying all at once. The days after the kiss are strange and wonderful and terrifying. They don't talk about it, neither of them brave enough to define what it meant, but everything is different now. Siwoo starts coming home earlier from work. They have dinner together, sitting closer at the table than necessary. They watch movies in the evening, their hands finding each other under the blanket. There are more kisses, quick ones in the morning before Siwoo leaves for work, longer ones late at night in the music room, desperate ones when they think about December 26th getting closer. Vadell knows he's in love. It's terrifying and inevitable and completely stupid, but he's in love with Siwoo Park. With the way he hums while making coffee. With how he gets this tiny crinkle between his eyebrows when he's concentrating. With the rare, beautiful smile that appears when he thinks Vadell isn't looking. He's in love with a man who hired him to pretend, and now the pretending has become so real it hurts. It's December 18th when everything falls apart. Vadell is looking for a book in Siwoo's study. Siwoo had told him he could borrow anything from the shelves. He's running his fingers along the spines when he accidentally knocks over a decorative box on the bookshelf. Papers spill out, scattering across the floor. Cursing under his breath, Vadell kneels to gather them. That's when he sees his own name on a document. Curious, he reads it. It's an investigation report. About him. His full name, his address, his work history, his debts, Molly's medical records. Everything. Detailed notes about his routines, his habits, even photographs of him at the coffee shop, taken from a distance. Vadell's hand starts shaking. The date on the report is October 15th. 2 weeks before their accidental meeting at the coffee shop. He finds more documents. Financial analyses showing he was the perfect target. Desperate enough to agree, poor enough to be bought, with no connections that might cause problems later. There's even a psychological profile written in cold, clinical language. Subject shows strong family loyalty and moral character. Unlikely to betray confidence. Perfect candidate for temporary arrangement. At the bottom of the pile, there's a recorded conversation transcript between Siwoo and his assistant. Siwoo, find someone with no power, no connections and no options. Someone who will disappear quietly after Christmas without causing problems. Assistant, what if they develop feelings, sir? Siwoo, they won't matter. This is business, nothing more. The date of that conversation, October 12th. Vadell feels like he's going to be sick. The coffee spill wasn't an accident. Their meeting wasn't fate. It was all planned, all calculated. Siwoo chose him specifically because he was desperate and broken and easily controlled. Every kind word, every gentle touch, every kiss, was it all part of the plan too? Was Siwoo just keeping him cooperative, making sure he'd go quietly when Christmas came? The folder drops from Vadell's numb fingers. He hears the front door open downstairs. Siwoo home early like he's been doing lately. Coming home to the man he's been playing like a chess piece. Vadell? Siwoo's voice calls from downstairs. I brought dinner from that restaurant you liked. He appears in the doorway of the study, holding takeout bags, and freezes when he sees Vadell's face. His eyes drop to the papers scattered on the floor, and all the color drains from his face. Vadell, I can explain. You planned it. Vadell's voice doesn't sound like his own, too hollow, too broken. All of it. The coffee shop. The chance meeting. You chose me because I was desperate. It's not like that. It's exactly like that. Vadell grabs the investigation report, throwing it at Siwoo. Papers flutter between them like dying birds. You researched me. You stalked me. You waited until I was at my most desperate and then you made your move. I was just a business transaction to you. At first, yes, but what? But you started to care? Vadell laughs and it sounds cruel even to his own ears. How am I supposed to believe anything you say? Everything between us has been a lie from the very start. Vadell, please just listen. Siwoo drops the takeout bags, stepping into the study with his hands raised like he's approaching a wounded animal. Don't. Vadell backs away, his whole body shaking with anger and hurt. Don't come near me. Yes, I investigated you. Yes, I planned our meeting. But that was before I knew you before? Before you what? Before you manipulated me into marrying you? Before you made me fall in? Vadell stops himself, the words choking in his throat. You won't say it. Won't give Siwoo the satisfaction of knowing how completely he destroyed him. But Siwoo heard what he didn't say. His expression crumbles. Vadell, I fell too. Nothing that's happened between us in the past month has been fake. I swear to you. Your swears mean nothing. Vadell's voice cracks. How can I trust a single word you say? You've been lying to me since the moment we met. I know. I know I was wrong. Siwoo's voice is desperate now, raw in a way Vadell has never heard. I was cold and calculating and I treated you like a problem to solve instead of a person. But somewhere along the way you became the most important person in my life. The kisses, the dinners, the conversations, those were real. What I feel for you is real. Stop. Vadell presses his hands to his ears like a child. Stop lying to me. I'm not lying. Siwoo crosses the distance between them, grabbing Vadell's wrists gently, pulling his hands down. Look at me. Look at my face and tell me you don't see the truth. Vadell does look, and that's the worst part. Because Siwoo looks devastated, his eyes shining with unshed tears, his usual mask of control completely shattered. He looks like a man watching everything precious slip through his fingers. But Vadell has been fooled before. For weeks, he believed in something that was built on lies from the very foundation. Let go of me, Vadell says quietly. Vadell? Let go. Siwoo releases him immediately, stepping back. What do you want me to say? That I'm sorry? I'm sorry. That I was wrong? I was wrong. That I'm a terrible person who doesn't deserve you? That's true too. But don't tell me that what we have isn't real, because I know what I feel, and I know what I see in your eyes when you look at me. What you see is a fool, Vadell says bitterly. Someone stupid enough to believe that a man like you could actually care about someone like me. Someone desperate enough to ignore all the red flags because I wanted the fairy tale to be real. You're not a fool. You're kind and talented, and you made me feel things I didn't think I was capable of feeling anymore. Save the poetry for someone who'll believe it. Vadell starts gathering the scattered papers, shoving them back into the folder. Evidence of his stupidity, of how completely he was played. The contract said I leave after Christmas. I'm leaving tonight instead. No. Siwoo moves to block the door. You can't. The debt. I'll figure it out. I'd rather face the loan sharks than stay here with you. That's not. Vadell, be reasonable? Reasonable? Vadell laughs harshly. You want me to be reasonable? You investigated me like a criminal. You stalked me. You manipulated me into this marriage because you needed a disposable husband who wouldn't cause problems. And now you want me to be reasonable about it? I needed someone I could control, Siwoo admits, his voice breaking. But you were never controllable. You challenged me, made me laugh, made me want to be better. You broke through every wall I built, and I fell in love with you even though I never meant to, even though it terrifies me, even though I knew from the start that you deserved so much better than someone like me. Vadell freezes. Don't you dare say you love me. But I do. Siwoo's tears finally fall, tracking down his face. I love you, Vadell. And I know I've destroyed any chance of you believing that, but it's the truth. The truth? Vadell whispers. What would you know about the truth? Vadell pushes past Siwoo, leaving the study and heading straight to his room. His vision is blurry with tears, but he refuses to let them fall. Not yet. Not while Siwoo can see. He hears Siwoo following him up the stairs. Vadell, please just wait. There's nothing left to say. Vadell enters his room and starts pulling his suitcases from the closet. The same worn suitcases he arrived with nearly 2 months ago. Back when he thought this was just a simple business arrangement. Back when his heart was safe. He starts throwing clothes into the suitcases haphazardly, not bothering to fold anything. His hands are shaking so badly he can barely grip the fabric. Siwoo appears in the doorway, looking lost in a way that would have broken Vadell's heart if it wasn't already shattered. Don't go. Not like this. At least stay until morning. So you can manipulate me some more? Come up with a better story? Vadell laughs bitterly. I'm done being your puppet. You were never a puppet. You are. What? Your charity case? Your convenient solution? The desperate fool you bought with promises and pretty words. My partner. Siwoo shouts, and it's the first time Vadell has heard him raise his voice. My equal. The person who made me remember how to feel something other than cold and empty. Vadell pauses in his packing, his back to Siwoo. If I was your equal, you would have told me the truth from the beginning. You would have given me a real choice instead of engineering my desperation. You're right. Siwoo's voice drops to a whisper. You're absolutely right. I was a coward. I've spent so long treating everything like a business transaction that I forgot how to be honest, how to be vulnerable. You deserved better. You deserved the truth. Vadell zips up one suitcase violently. Well, I have the truth now, don't I? And it's exactly as ugly as I feared. The truth is I love you. Siwoo steps into the room. The truth is I wake up every morning excited to see you. The truth is your smile makes me forget about every problem I have. The truth is I play piano at night hoping you'll hear and come sit with me. The truth is I'm terrified of December 26th because I don't know how to go back to existing without you. Stop it. Vadell whirls around, tears finally streaming down his face. Stop saying these things. You don't get to say you love me when everything was built on lies. The foundation was lies, yes. But what we built on top of it became real. I know you felt it too. What I felt was stupid. I let myself believe in something that never existed. It existed. Siwoo is crying now too, both of them breaking apart in this too big room. It exists right now in this moment. Tell me you don't feel anything for me. Look me in the eye and tell me these past weeks meant nothing to you. Vadell wants to lie. He wants to say the words that will let him walk away with some dignity intact. But he can't. Because despite everything, despite the betrayal and the manipulation and the lies, he still loves Siwoo. And that makes him angrier than anything else. What I feel doesn't matter, Vadell says instead. Because I'll never be able to trust you. Every kind word, every gentle touch, I'll always wonder if it's real or if it's just another manipulation. That's not love. That's torture. Siwoo flinches like he's been hit. Vadell, please? I'm done. Vadell picks up his suitcases. I'll send someone for the rest of my things. Don't contact me. Don't follow me. Don't send your bodyguards to check on me. We're finished. He walks toward the door, toward freedom, toward a future without the man he loves. Siwoo doesn't try to stop him physically, but his voice follows Vadell down the hallway. I'll always love you, Siwoo calls out, his voice wrecked. Even if you never believe it. Even if you hate me. I'll always love you. Vadell doesn't look back. If he looks back he might stay. And staying would destroy what's left of his heart. Vadell's old apartment feels smaller than he remembered. Darker. Colder. The heat still doesn't work properly and there's a water stain on the ceiling that wasn't there before, or maybe it was and he just forgot in the luxury of Siwoo's mansion. He drops his suitcases on the worn carpet and just stands there, numb. The apartment is exactly as he left it 2 months ago. The same sagging couch, the same tiny kitchen, the same window that doesn't quite close all the way, letting in cold December air. But somehow it feels like a different lifetime. He's a different person than the desperate man who left here. Molly arrives within an hour. He texted her from the cab, unable to explain over the phone. She takes one look at his face and pulls him into a fierce hug. What happened? She asks. Did he hurt you? Yes, Vadell whispers. And no. It's complicated. They sit on the couch, the one that's lumpy and uncomfortable compared to Siwoo's leather furniture, and Vadell tells her everything. The contract, the arrangement, the lies, how he fell in love anyway, the investigation folder. All of it comes pouring out between sobs. Molly holds him while he cries, her own eyes fierce with anger. She's 25, 5 years younger than Vadell, but she's always been protective of her big brother. Seeing him broken like this brings out her fighter instinct. He used you, she says flatly when Vadell finishes the story. He targeted you specifically because you were vulnerable. I know. And now you're back here and the loan sharks. Vadell, how are we going to handle them? The debt. In his heartbreak, Vadell had almost forgotten. Siwoo had paid it off as part of the contract, but now? I don't know. Maybe they'll give me more time. They're not known for their patience. Molly's voice is gentle but realistic. We need a plan. But Vadell can't think about plans. He can't think about anything except the look on Siwoo's face when he left, the tears, the desperate confession of love. Was any of it real? Or was Siwoo just upset about losing control of his carefully constructed plan? That night, Vadell lies in his old bed, too small, too hard, too empty, and stares at the ceiling. He left his phone on silent, but he can see it lighting up with notifications. Text after text from Siwoo. He doesn't read them. Can't read them. Molly has gone back to her own apartment, making Vadell promise to call if he needs anything. The silence of the apartment is deafening. He got used to the sounds of the mansion, the soft hum of the heating system, Mrs. Chen moving around downstairs, Siwoo playing piano late at night. Now there's just the drip of the leaky faucet and the occasional car passing outside. Vadell thinks about the past 2 months. The dinners. The conversations. The way Siwoo's face would soften when he laughed. The kisses that tasted like coming home. The moment in the rain when everything felt perfect. Were those moments real? Or was he just seeing what he wanted to see, believing what he desperately needed to believe? His phone buzzes again. Another text. Against his better judgment, Vadell picks it up. There are 47 messages from Siwoo. He scrolls through them, his heart clenching with every word. Please come back. We can talk about this. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I know I don't deserve forgiveness. Your debt is still paid. I won't take that back no matter what happens between us. I miss you. The house is so quiet without you. I love you. I know you don't believe it, but I do. The last message came 10 minutes ago. I understand if you hate me. I hate myself too. But please be safe. Please be okay. Even if you never speak to me again, I need to know you're okay. Vadell types and deletes a response 5 times before finally throwing the phone across the room. It lands on the couch, unharmed, still glowing with Siwoo's desperate messages. He doesn't sleep that night. And when morning comes, Vadell realizes something. Being away from Siwoo hurts almost as much as being lied to. Almost. Molly shows up the next morning with coffee and pastries from the corner bakery, their old tradition from before everything went wrong. You look terrible, she says, setting the food on the tiny kitchen counter. Thanks, Vadell mutters. He hasn't slept, hasn't showered, and is still wearing yesterday's clothes. That's exactly what I needed to hear. I'm not here to coddle you. I'm here to help you figure out what to do next. Molly hands him a coffee, black with 1 sugar, the way he likes it. The way Siwoo takes his coffee too. The thought makes Vadell's chest ache. They sit at the kitchen table and Molly studies him with those perceptive eyes. She's always been able to read him too easily. You're still in love with him, she says. Not a question. A statement. Doesn't matter. It matters a lot, actually. Molly. No, listen to me. She leans forward, serious. What he did was wrong. Targeting you, manipulating the situation, that was calculated and cruel. You have every right to be angry and hurt. Okay, so. But, she continues, I also know you. I know when you're truly broken versus when you're protecting yourself. And right now, you're protecting yourself from something you actually want. Vadell shakes his head. You don't understand. Everything was fake. He researched me like I was a job candidate. And then he fell in love with you anyway. Molly's voice is gentle. Vadell, I watched you these past 2 months. You changed. You were lighter, happier. You sent me pictures of the house, told me about dinners and conversations and piano music. That wasn't the voice of someone trapped in a fake relationship. That was the voice of someone falling in love. But the foundation was rotten. Yes. But that doesn't mean what you built on top of it wasn't real. She reaches across the table, taking his hand. Do you remember when I got sick? When you borrowed that money? Of course. You lied to me about where you got it. You told me it was from the bank, that it was legitimate. But I knew. I knew you'd gone to dangerous people because no bank would give you that kind of money. Molly's eyes fill with tears. You lied to me to protect me. Does that make your love for me fake? Vadell feels like he's been punched. That's different. Is it? You manipulated the situation to get what you wanted, me alive and healthy. Your methods were questionable, but your love was real. She squeezes his hand. I'm not saying what Siwoo did was right. I'm saying that people can do wrong things for complicated reasons and still have real feelings. So what am I supposed to do? Just forgive him? I don't know. That's up to you. Molly pulls out her phone. But I did some research of my own last night. Look at this. She shows him a news article from a few days ago. It's about Siwoo's cousin Jay being investigated for embezzlement and fraud. Apparently, he's been stealing from Park Technologies for years, covering his tracks by blaming other executives. Siwoo's been working on this investigation for months, Molly explains. And according to this article, he's been doing it quietly to protect the company's reputation. Why are you showing me this? Because it proves he's capable of thinking about more than just himself. He could have publicly destroyed his cousin, embarrassed the family, made headlines. Instead, he handled it discreetly to protect the people who work for him, the shareholders, the family name. Molly locks her phone. I'm not saying that makes him a saint. I'm saying he's complicated. Like all of us. Vadell doesn't know what to say. His anger feels justified, but so does the tiny voice in his head that keeps replaying Siwoo's tears, his desperate confession, the way he said, I love you, like it was being torn from his chest. You don't have to decide anything right now, Molly says softly. You can be angry and hurt and still love him. All those feelings can exist at the same time. You're allowed to take time to figure out what you want. What if what I want is impossible? Then you'll deal with that too. But Vadell? Make sure you're not throwing away something real because the beginning was messy. 3 days after leaving Siwoo, Vadell makes a decision. He's been wallowing in heartbreak, but Molly's right. He needs to figure out his next steps. And one of those steps is understanding his legal position. He finds a lawyer through a free legal aid clinic, a sharp woman in her 40s named Attorney Chin, no relation to Mrs. Chin, though the coincidence makes Vadell's heart ache. She reviews the marriage contract Vadell brought with him, her eyebrows rising higher with each page. This is quite comprehensive, she says finally. And unusual. You're legally married to Siwoo Park of Park Technologies. Yes. It's complicated. Clearly. Attorney Chin leans back in her chair. Mr. Thompson, do you understand what kind of power you have right now? Vadell blinks. Power? You're married to one of the wealthiest men in the country. There's no prenuptial agreement, at least not one that would hold up in court given the circumstances of your marriage. If you wanted to, you could make things very difficult for Mr. Park. I don't want his money. I'm not talking about money. Though you'd be entitled to a significant settlement in a divorce, given the length of the marriage and the disparity in your financial situations. Attorney Chin taps the contract. I'm talking about leverage. Information. You've lived in his home, been privy to his private life. If you wanted revenge for how you were treated, you have options. Vadell sits back, the word revenge echoing in his mind. He could hurt Siwoo. He could expose their fake marriage to the media, ruin Siwoo's reputation, maybe even cost him his company. The thought gives him a dark satisfaction. What kind of options? He asks slowly. Well, you could go to the media. The story of a billionaire CEO who essentially bought a husband to satisfy his family would be quite the scandal. Or you could pursue a lawsuit, fraud, emotional distress, several angles we could explore. Attorney Chin studies him carefully. Is that what you want? Vadell thinks about the investigation folder, the cold calculation, the way Siwoo chose him specifically because he was desperate. He thinks about feeling like a fool, like someone too naive to see he was being played. Maybe, he says. He deserves it. Perhaps. But Mr. Thompson, I need to ask you something, and I need you to be honest with yourself. Attorney Chen's voice softens. Do you want revenge because it would make you feel better? Or do you want revenge because you're hurt and angry and you don't know what else to do with those feelings? The question stops Vadell cold. I don't know. In my experience, revenge rarely brings the satisfaction people expect. It might feel good in the moment, but afterward, you're left with the same pain plus the guilt of having hurt someone else. She pushes a card across the desk. This is a therapist colleague of mine who specializes in relationship trauma. I think you should talk to her before making any decisions. Vadell takes the card, feeling lost. I thought you were supposed to help me go after him. I'm supposed to help you figure out what you really want. And I don't think you know that yet. Attorney Chen's smile is kind. You have power here, Mr. Thompson. The question is how you want to use it, to destroy someone who hurt you or to rebuild yourself. After leaving the lawyer's office, Vadell walks through the city for hours, thinking. He passes the coffee shop where he used to work. They've already hired someone to replace him. He passes the hospital where Molly was treated, the one Siwoo anonymously donated to. Wait. Vadell stops walking. When did Siwoo donate to the hospital? Attorney Chin had mentioned it, almost in passing, as part of the financial review. There's also a recent donation made in your name to Memorial Hospital, she'd said. Quite substantial, $150,000. In Vadell's name. Not Siwoo's. And the date? Vadell pulls out his phone, scrolling through old texts until he finds it. The donation was made in early December. After they'd started having real feelings for each other, but weeks before Vadell found the investigation folder. Siwoo had donated anonymously to the hospital that saved Molly. And he'd never mentioned it. Never used it as leverage or proof of his feelings. Maybe, Vadell thinks, people really are more complicated than just good or bad. Vadell can't stop thinking about the hospital donation. $150,000. Given anonymously in his name weeks ago. He starts digging using resources Molly helps him find. It doesn't take long to uncover more. Siwoo had paid off not just Vadell's debt to the loan sharks, but also the predatory interest that would have continued accumulating. He'd threatened legal action against them to ensure they never contacted Vadell or Molly again. He'd done this in the first week of their arrangement, not after catching feelings but right at the start. There's more. Vadell finds an anonymous scholarship fund set up at the art school he'd once dreamed of attending. The fund specifically helps students from low-income backgrounds who show talent in visual arts. It was established in November. The application requirements match Vadell's exact qualifications almost suspiciously well. He's been planning your future, Molly says when Vadell shows her what he's found. Even while planning your exit. Vadell's phone buzzes. Another message from Siwoo. They've slowed down over the past few days, but they haven't stopped. This one is different though. I know you probably won't read this, but I need you to know something. My cousin Jay has been spreading rumors about our marriage. He's threatening to go to the press. I'm handling it, but I wanted you to be prepared in case any reporters contact you. I told my lawyer that under no circumstances should we pursue legal action against you if you choose to speak publicly. What you say is your choice. You deserve that freedom. Vadell stares at the message. Siwoo is giving him permission to destroy him. To tell the world about their fake marriage, to expose everything. And Siwoo won't fight back. That night, a reporter does call. She's heard rumors about Siwoo Park's mysterious new husband, about a marriage that seemed to come out of nowhere. She's willing to pay well for Vadell's story. I'll think about it, Vadell says and hangs up. He could do it. One interview and Siwoo's reputation would be in ruins. The perfect revenge for being manipulated, investigated, chosen specifically because he was powerless. But as Vadell sits in his cold apartment, he thinks about the past 2 months. Not just the lies and the betrayal but everything else too. The way Siwoo's face would light up when Vadell made him laugh. The morning Siwoo learned Vadell liked a specific type of jam and had it shipped from France. The night Siwoo played piano for 4 hours because Vadell mentioned he loved hearing it. The time Vadell had a nightmare and woke to find Siwoo sitting in the chair by his bed, just making sure he was okay. "I didn't ask him to stay," Vadell had mumbled, still half asleep. "I know," Siwoo had replied softly. "I wanted to." None of those things were in the contract. None of them benefited Siwoo's plan. They were just kindness, care, maybe even love. Vadell picks up his phone and scrolls through the messages Siwoo has sent over the past week. Under the apologies and the declarations of love, there's a thread of consistent concern. "Are you warm enough in that apartment? Please eat something today. I saw it's supposed to snow. Do you need anything? Your debt is paid regardless of what happens with us. I won't take that back." Even now, even after Vadell left, even knowing Vadell might destroy him, Siwoo is still thinking about his well-being. The reporter calls again the next morning. "Have you made a decision, Mr. Thompson? This story could be worth a lot of money to you." Vadell thinks about revenge and justice and the difference between the two. He thinks about Siwoo crying, about the hospital donation, about the way cold people sometimes do the kindest things in the quietest ways. "No story," Vadell says. "I have nothing to say about my husband." He hangs up before she can offer more money. Because maybe, just maybe, Siwoo deserves the chance to prove his love was real, even if it started with lies. And maybe Vadell deserves the chance to see if he can forgive someone who's trying desperately to be better. Vadell doesn't plan to see Siwoo again. He's not ready for that conversation, doesn't know if he'll ever be ready. But fate has other plans. He's at the grocery store, buying instant noodles because some things never change, when he literally runs into someone turning the corner of an aisle. Apologies die on his lips when he sees who it is. Jay Park. Siwoo's cousin. The man trying to steal the company. Well, Jay says, looking Vadell up and down with obvious disdain. "The temporary husband. I heard you'd scurried back to your little hole." Vadell's jaw clenches. "Excuse me." He tries to walk past, but Jay blocks his path. "You know, I have to thank you. Your little arrangement with Siwoo is exactly the ammunition I needed. A fake marriage to satisfy the family requirement? The board will love hearing about that. Get out of my way." "What did he pay you? 50,000? 100? Jay's smile is cruel. "Whatever it was, it wasn't enough. You should have negotiated better. Siwoo's worth billions and you settled for scraps." Something in Vadell snaps. He's tired of being treated like he's worthless, like he's nothing more than a transaction. "You know what?" Vadell steps closer, using his height advantage to loom over Jay. "You're right. Siwoo hired me. He investigated me, targeted me, manipulated our meeting. He did all the things you're probably planning to tell the world." Jay's eyes gleam with triumph. Finally, some honesty. "But here's what you don't know," Vadell continues, his voice hard. "He also donated $150,000 to help people like my sister who can't afford medical care. He set up a scholarship fund for art students who grew up poor. He's been quietly cleaning up your embezzlement for months to protect the jobs of 50,000 employees who didn't do anything wrong." Jay's smile falters. "I don't know what you're..." "Save it. I know about the fraud investigation. I know Siwoo's been protecting you, trying to handle it quietly because despite everything, he doesn't want to destroy the family name. That's the difference between you and him. He thinks about other people. You only think about yourself. This is none of your business. It became my business when you started using our marriage as a weapon." Vadell leans in close. "So here's what's going to happen. You're going to back off. You're going to stop spreading rumors. And you're going to accept whatever consequences come from your embezzlement like an adult." "Or what?" Jay tries to sound tough, but Vadell can hear the uncertainty in his voice. "Or I'll call that reporter who's been harassing me for an interview. And I'll tell her everything, not about the fake marriage but about your criminal activity. About how you've been stealing from your own family's company. About how Siwoo has been protecting you despite you actively trying to destroy him." Vadell pulls out his phone. "I have her number right here. Want me to make the call?" Jay's face goes pale. "You wouldn't. Try me. I've got nothing to lose, Jay. You made sure of that when you started this campaign against Siwoo. But you have everything to lose." They stare at each other for a long moment. Finally, Jay steps aside, his jaw tight with anger. "This isn't over," he mutters. "Yeah, it is," Vadell says firmly. "Because if you come after Siwoo again, you'll have to go through me. And I promise you, I'm a lot angrier and a lot less concerned about appearances than he is." Vadell walks away, his heart pounding. He can't believe he just did that, threatened a billionaire in the middle of a grocery store. But as the adrenaline fades, he realizes something important. He was protecting Siwoo, defending him. Even after everything, even with all the hurt and betrayal still fresh, his instinct was to stand up for the man who broke his heart. Maybe Molly was right. Maybe you can be angry at someone and still love them. Maybe the heart doesn't follow logic or fairness or good sense. Maybe love is just stubborn like that. The confrontation with Jay changes something in Vadell. He realizes he can't keep living in this limbo, too angry to forgive, too in love to truly move on. He needs to make a decision. But before he can figure out what that decision is, his phone rings. It's an unknown number, but something makes him answer. Mr. Thompson? This is Mrs. Chen. Her voice is warm but concerned. I'm sorry to bother you. Vadell's heart leaps. Is Siwoo okay? Physically, yes. But... She pauses. Mr. Park has been working 20-hour days since you left. He's not eating properly, not sleeping. Yesterday he collapsed at the office from exhaustion. The doctor said he's fine, just needs rest, but he's not resting, Vadell finishes, knowing Siwoo too well. No. He's throwing himself into work like he's trying to outrun his thoughts. I know it's not my place, but I care about him. And I think he's giving up on everything except the company. Mrs. Chen's voice cracks slightly. I've worked for him for 8 years and I've never seen him this broken. After hanging up, Vadell stares at his phone for a long time. Then he makes a call of his own, to the therapist attorney Chen recommended. Over the next week, Vadell talks through everything with Dr. Martinez. The betrayal, the love, the confusion, the anger. She doesn't tell him what to do, but she helps him understand what he's feeling. You're allowed to be hurt and still want to forgive, she says during their third session. Forgiveness isn't about saying what happened was okay. It's about deciding that the relationship is more important than being right. What if I forgive him and he hurts me again? That's always a risk when you love someone. The question is whether the possibility of genuine connection is worth the risk of being hurt again. Dr. Martinez leans forward. Vadell, do you believe Siwoo loves you? Vadell thinks about the hospital donation, the scholarship fund, the messages checking on his well-being even when Siwoo thought Vadell would never speak to him again. The tears. The desperate confession. Yes, he whispers. I think he does. Then the question isn't whether he loves you. It's whether you can trust that love enough to give it another chance. That night, Vadell makes his decision. He texts Siwoo for the first time since leaving. We need to talk. But not yet. I need time to figure out what I want. Can you give me that? The response comes within seconds. Take all the time you need. I'll be here. I'll always be here. Vadell takes 2 more weeks. He goes to therapy. He talks to Molly. He starts drawing again, not just sketches but real art, pouring all his complicated feelings onto paper. He draws Siwoo's hands on piano keys, the rain-streaked windows, the moment everything broke. And he draws what healing might look like, 2 figures, separate but reaching toward each other across a distance. Finally, 3 days before Christmas, Vadell makes another call. Mrs. Chen? It's Vadell. Is Siwoo home? Yes, in his office. Should I tell him you're coming? No. I want to surprise him. Vadell stands outside the mansion for 5 full minutes before he can make himself knock. His heart is racing, his palms sweating. He has no idea what he's going to say, just that he needs to say something. The door opens. It's not Mrs. Chen or a bodyguard. It's Siwoo himself, looking like he's aged 5 years and 3 weeks. Dark circles under his eyes, weight lost from his already slim frame, his usually perfect appearance disheveled. They stare at each other across the threshold. Hi, Vadell says lamely. Hi, Siwoo breathes and his eyes are already filling with tears. You're here. You're actually here. Can I come in? We need to talk. Yes. God, yes. Anything you need. Siwoo steps aside and Vadell enters the mansion that briefly felt like home. The door closes behind them, and Vadell knows that whatever happens next will determine the rest of both their lives. They don't go to the living room or the music room. By some unspoken agreement, they end up in the kitchen, neutral territory, less formal, where they can face each other across the island counter like normal people instead of billionaire and hired husband. Mrs. Chen appears with tea, gives Vadell's hand a gentle squeeze and disappears. Smart woman, knowing when to make herself scarce. You look terrible, Vadell says, because someone needs to acknowledge it. You look beautiful, Siwoo replies, and his voice cracks on the word. You always look beautiful. Don't. Vadell holds up a hand. Don't do that. I'm not here for pretty words or romantic gestures. I'm here because we need to have an honest conversation. Maybe the first truly honest conversation we've ever had. Siwoo nods, wrapping his hands around his teacup like he needs something to hold on to. Okay. What do you want to know? Everything. From the beginning. And I'll know if you're lying. I've gotten good at spotting your tells. So Siwoo talks. He explains how his family had been pressuring him about marriage for years, how the ultimatum came suddenly, how he panicked. He explains his assistant's research into potential candidates, how they found Vadell's situation, how Siwoo made the cold calculation that Vadell would be perfect. Desperate enough to agree, kind enough to play the part convincingly. I convinced myself it was just business, Siwoo says, staring into his tea. That I was solving a problem efficiently. I didn't let myself think about you as a person with feelings and dreams and a life I was disrupting. When did that change? The day you moved in. Siwoo's laugh is bitter. You stood in that enormous bedroom looking so lost and I realized what I'd done. I'd taken someone who was barely surviving and transplanted them into a world where they didn't belong, all for my own benefit. But you didn't let me go. No. I told myself it was because we had a contract, because backing out would complicate things. But really I was a coward. I was already fascinated by you and I wanted to keep you close. Siwoo finally looks up, meeting Vadell's eyes. That first week, when you found the music room and didn't mock me or treat it like a curiosity, you just appreciated it. That's when I started falling. Vadell's chest aches. The hospital donation. Why didn't you tell me? Because then it would have been about gratitude, not genuine feeling. I wanted you to care about me because of who I am, not what I can provide. Siwoo's hands tremble around the cup. I know that's ironic given how we started. But I was trying to separate who I was at the beginning from who I wanted to become for you. You should have told me the truth about how we met. I know. I was terrified. Every day I wanted to confess, but I was so afraid you'd leave. And the longer I waited, the worse the betrayal became. Tears slide down Siwoo's face. I'm so sorry, Vadell. I'm sorry for investigating you, for manipulating our meeting, for treating you like a business acquisition instead of a person. I'm sorry for making you fall in love with someone who'd built everything on lies. I'm not sorry I fell in love with you, Vadell says quietly. I'm angry about how it happened. I'm hurt that you didn't trust me with the truth. But I'm not sorry about loving you. Siwoo's breath catches. Does that mean? It means I've thought about this a lot. I've talked to a therapist, processed my feelings, figured out what I need. Vadell pulls a piece of paper from his pocket. He wrote it all down, afraid he'd forget in the emotion of the moment. If we're going to try this, really try, not fake, not for show, I have conditions. Anything. Don't agree until you hear them. Vadell unfolds the paper. First, you start therapy. Real therapy with someone who specializes in emotional communication and relationship issues. Already scheduled. I've been going twice a week since you left. Vadell blinks, surprised. Oh, good. Second, complete honesty from now on. No more secrets, no more calculated moves. If something is bothering you, you talk to me. I promise. Vadell continues reading from his list, his voice steady despite his racing heart. Third, we start over. Not completely, we can't erase what happened, but we date properly. You court me like you would if we'd met normally. I'd like that, Siwoo says softly. Fourth, I keep my own apartment. I'm not moving back in here right away. We need to build trust before we live together again. Siwoo flinches but nods. I understand. Fifth, the marriage stays legal through Christmas as planned. That was our agreement and I'll honor it for your family. But after Christmas, we separate officially on paper. If we stay together, it'll be because we choose to be together, not because of a contract. And if we decide to get married again someday? Siwoo asks hopefully. Then we do it right. With a real proposal, real vows, and real love with no lies between us. Vadell folds the paper. Those are my terms. Can you accept them? Yes, all of them. Thank you for giving me another chance I don't deserve. You're right, you don't deserve it. Vadell's voice is hard but not unkind. But I'm not doing this because you deserve it. I'm doing it because I deserve to see if what we had was real. I deserve to know if the man I fell in love with actually exists or if he was just a character you played. He exists, Siwoo says urgently. The man who plays piano with you, who laughs at your jokes, who wants to hear about your day, that's the real me. The cold businessman is the mask I wear for the world. Then show me the real you. Not just the good parts but the difficult parts too. Show me who you are when you're stressed, when you're angry, when things don't go your way. I will. I promise I will. They sit in silence for a moment, the weight of everything hanging between them. Then Vadell asks the question that's been nagging at him. What about your family? Christmas is in 2 days. They're expecting us to be together. I'll tell them the truth if you want. That we're separated, that I messed up, that I'm trying to earn you back. No. Vadell surprises himself with the answer. We'll go to Christmas together. We'll pretend for one more day like the original plan. But this time we both know it's pretending. And after Christmas we start fresh. Siwoo's eyes shine with tears and hope. Can I hug you? Please? I've missed you so much. Vadell hesitates, then nods. Siwoo comes around the island slowly, giving Vadell time to change his mind. But Vadell doesn't. When Siwoo's arms wrap around him, it feels like coming home and leaving safety all at once. He lets himself sink into the embrace, breathing in Siwoo's familiar scent, feeling the rapid beat of his heart. I'm still angry, Vadell whispers against Siwoo's shoulder. I know. And it's going to take time for me to trust you again. I know. I'll wait as long as it takes. And you're going to have to work for this. Every single day. I will. Siwoo pulls back just enough to look at Vadell's face, his hands gentle on Vadell's arms. I'll spend the rest of my life proving that I love you if that's what it takes. It might take that long, Vadell says, but there's the smallest hint of a smile on his lips. Then I'd better get started. Siwoo's thumb brushes across Vadell's cheek. Can I kiss you? Vadell thinks about it. About trust and forgiveness and new beginnings. About the risk of opening his heart again to someone who's already broken it once. Not yet, he says finally. Earn it first. Siwoo nods, accepting the boundary. I will. I promise I will. As Vadell leaves that night, going back to his own apartment, maintaining his independence, he feels something he hasn't felt in weeks. Hope. Not certainty, not complete forgiveness, but hope that maybe, just maybe, they can build something real from the ashes of what was fake. And sometimes hope is enough to start with. Christmas Eve arrives cold and clear, with fresh snow covering the city in white. Vadell stands in front of his closet in his tiny apartment, staring at the tuxedo Mrs. Chen had delivered yesterday with a note. For tonight. We've missed you. Mrs. C. Tonight is the Park family Christmas gathering. The final performance of their arranged marriage before they officially separate and start over. Vadell's stomach churns with nerves. His phone buzzes. Siwoo, car is outside whenever you're ready. No pressure. We can cancel if this is too much. Vadell smiles despite his nervousness. This is new, Siwoo checking in, offering him choices, respecting his boundaries. It's a small thing but it matters. I'll be down in 5 minutes, Vadell texts back. The ride to the Park family estate is quiet but not uncomfortable. Siwoo looks devastating in a dark suit, his hair styled perfectly, but Vadell can see the tension in his shoulders. Are you okay? Vadell asks. Nervous. My family can be intense. Especially my grandmother. Siwoo glances at him. If anyone makes you uncomfortable, we leave immediately. I don't care about the company anymore. I care about you. When did you become so good at saying the right thing? Therapy, Siwoo says with a small smile. Dr. Park says I have a tendency to suppress emotions and communicate transactionally. We're working on it. The Park family estate makes Siwoo's mansion look modest. It's a sprawling traditional Korean house mixed with modern architecture, decorated for Christmas with an elegance that probably cost more than most people's houses. Inside, the family is gathered, at least 30 people, all dressed in expensive clothes, all watching as Siwoo and Vadell enter hand in hand. The gesture is for show, but Vadell's heart still races at the contact. Siwoo. A tiny elderly woman approaches, moving fast despite her age. This must be the formidable grandmother. She looks at Vadell with sharp, assessing eyes. So this is your husband. Grandmother, this is Vadell Thompson. Vadell, my grandmother, Park Soonja. It's an honor to meet you, Mrs. Park, Vadell says, bowing slightly like Siwoo taught him weeks ago. The grandmother circles him like a shark. You're tall. Good. The Park family needs height. She pokes his arm. Strong too. Are you smart? I try to be. Can you make my grandson smile? He's too serious. Sometimes, Vadell says honestly. When he lets me. For the first time, the grandmother smiles. Good answer. Come, sit with me. Tell me how you two met. The evening passes in a blur of introductions, questions, and performances. Vadell meets cousins, aunts, uncles, distant relatives who all want to know about the mysterious husband who appeared out of nowhere. He tells the prepared story, met through mutual friends, fell quickly, got married in a small ceremony. The lies taste bitter in his mouth, but he tells them for Siwoo. One last performance. Jay is there too, sulking in a corner, shooting Vadell and Siwoo dark looks. But he stays quiet, clearly having taken Vadell's threat seriously. At dinner, a feast spread across a table that seats 40, Siwoo's father makes a toast. To family, to tradition, and to my son finally finding someone who makes him happy. Vadell feels Siwoo's hand find his under the table, squeezing gently. He squeezes back. After dinner, Siwoo's grandmother pulls Vadell aside to a quiet corner. My grandson loves you, she says bluntly. I can see it in how he looks at you. Like you're the sun and he's been living in darkness. Mrs. Park. I don't care how you met or why you married. I care that he's different with you. Softer. More human. She pats Vadell's hand with her small, wrinkled one. Whatever happens between you two, remember that love is not about perfect beginnings. It's about choosing each other every day even when it's hard. Later, as they're leaving, Siwoo's father stops them at the door. You're good for him, he tells Vadell quietly. Thank you for giving him a chance. In the car ride home, Vadell thinks about the grandmother's words. About imperfect beginnings and daily choices. About how family can see love even when the people in love are still figuring it out. Maybe they'll make it. Maybe they won't. But tonight, with Siwoo's hand in his, Vadell thinks they at least have a chance. Christmas night. The snow is falling heavy and beautiful outside Siwoo's mansion. The family gathering is over, the performance complete. By their original agreement, tomorrow they would have divorced quietly and gone their separate ways. Siwoo walks Vadell to the door. Vadell is going back to his apartment, maintaining the boundary he set. They stand in the foyer where they shared their first kiss, and the irony isn't lost on either of them. Thank you for tonight, Siwoo says softly. I know it wasn't easy pretending for my family. Some of it wasn't pretending, Vadell admits. When your grandmother talked about her late husband, how they fought for 50 years but never stopped choosing each other, I was thinking about us. We barely made it 2 months before I ruined everything. You didn't ruin everything. You damaged it badly, yes. But not everything. Vadell takes a breath, saying what he's been thinking all evening. I talked to my therapist about forgiveness. She said it's not a one-time decision. It's a choice you make repeatedly, every day, sometimes every hour. And have you? Forgiven me? I'm trying. Some moments I have. Other moments I'm still angry. Vadell looks at Siwoo's hopeful, anxious face. But I'm willing to keep trying if you are. I'll try every day for the rest of my life if you need me to. They stand in comfortable silence, watching the snow fall through the windows. Finally, Siwoo speaks again. Tomorrow we were supposed to file for divorce. Do you still want to? Vadell has thought about this question constantly. The safe answer is yes. Separate legally, start completely fresh, build something new with no paperwork tying them to their complicated past. But safety isn't what his heart wants. No, he says. I don't want to divorce you. Siwoo's breath catches. What? I want to stay married. But I want to do it differently. Not because of a contract or your family's pressure or my debt. I want to stay married because we're choosing each other. Vadell turns to face Siwoo fully. The marriage certificate might have started as fake, but we can make it real. We can grow into it together. Are you sure? I thought you wanted to separate officially. I thought I did too. But your grandmother was right. It's not about how we started. It's about what we choose now. Vadell reaches out, cupping Siwoo's face in his hand. I choose you, Siwoo Park. The real you, the messy, complicated, emotionally stunted you who's trying so hard to be better. I choose to stay married and make this real. Tears stream down Siwoo's face. I don't deserve you. Probably not. But I'm choosing you anyway. Vadell's thumb wipes away Siwoo's tears. We're going to have rules though. Therapy continues. Honesty always. I still keep my apartment for now. We're not rushing back into living together. And if you ever lie to me again about something important, I'm gone for good. Understood. Understood. I promise. Complete honesty always. Siwoo covers Vadell's hand with his own. Can I court you properly now? Take you on dates, bring you flowers, do all the romantic things I should have done from the start? I'd like that. Can I tell people I'm married to you because I'm desperately in love with you, not because of a business arrangement? Yes. Can I? Siwoo hesitates. Can I kiss you? You said to earn it first. I know I have a long way to go still, but... Vadell doesn't let him finish. He leans in and kisses Siwoo, soft and sweet and full of promise. It's different from their first kiss in the rain, different from the desperate kisses before Vadell left. This one tastes like new beginnings and conscious choice and the terrifying, beautiful decision to love someone despite the risks. When they break apart, both are smiling through tears. Merry Christmas, Vadell whispers. Merry Christmas, Siwoo replies. Thank you for giving us another chance. Thank you for being worth it. Outside, the snow continues to fall, covering everything in white. A fresh start, a new beginning, a world transformed by choosing love over fear.